and building this tenacity and this resilience and being able to say, okay, this no is just opening the door to a next yes. Correct? So what I'm getting to is we can't give up easily. We have to push forward. We have to seek out our dreams, our aspirations, our why, as Jack Canfield did, because we might just be so close to that yes. So keep on pushing forward is a message that I'm getting.
Well, I'll tell you two quick stories. I put these in my book, The Success Principles. There's actually a story. I was working with kids in a camp once in New Hampshire, and we were in the White Mountains, and this guy told us, the forest ranger, that a few years earlier, they had found a guy when there was a huge blizzard, and the blizzard stopped, and they found a guy about as close as I am to you, just frozen. Had he walked 4 more steps, he would have run into the building, but he couldn't see it because of the blizzard. There's a story that was on the cover of People magazine a number of years ago about a man and a woman who were on their honeymoon in the Bahamas, and their boat engine conked out, and the sail, the wind was a doldrums, so they weren't moving. And it was like 17, 27 days, something like that, they were adrift. And finally the man said, I can't take it anymore, jumped overboard and drowned himself. The very next day they were rescued. We're so often to that yes, and we give up. And so the point is never ever give up.
Correct. So in your book, The Success Principles, you say in your first point is take full responsibility.
Yes.
So how do we not blame exterior circumstances, whether it's a bad relationship, a terrible boss, an illness? How do we not blame that for our actual results in our life?
Well, you first have to realize that all thoughts are just thoughts. And most of the thoughts we think are habitual thoughts that we picked up from other people, our parents, our teachers, wherever we grew up. And if we had parents who complained a lot, then we're going to complain a lot. If we have parents who are blamers, they blame the government for the fact that they didn't have a job, or they blame the president, the economy, Wall Street, the Saudi Arabians, whatever, we can always blame something else. And most people would rather blame somebody than take responsibility and do something different. Blaming, so I teach this model. It says E plus R equals O. Events plus response equals outcomes. Everything that happens to you is an event. And all events are actually neutral. They just happen. Now, how I respond to that event equals the outcome I get. 2 plus 2 equals 4. This economy plus what I'm currently doing gives me an income of 4. If I want 5 or 6 or 10 or a million, I can't keep doing 2, because 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. So I have to change my behavior, change my thinking, change how I visualize things, what I'm imagining at night, daydreaming about, etc. So because thought is absolutely changeable by intentionally choosing a different thought. If I said to you, your husband forgot your birthday, most women will go, oh, that means he doesn't love me. You could have a different thought. Someone who loves me forgot my birthday. He doesn't love me would make you feel bad. Someone who he loves me, but he forgot my birthday would make you feel concerned, but not bad. And so again, it's just what you say about the event that determines how you experience it. And so we can learn to choose to think a thought called, I'm the one creating, promoting, and allowing what happens to me, because in fact, that's really the ultimate truth. Nobody can hold you down. I mean, obviously 25 people can, jump on you and hold you down that way. But in general in life, it's how I think negatively, it's what I do or not do that's producing my result. If I come home and immediately start bitching about my boss and my job to my wife, and then my wife gets bummed out by it, and then she doesn't want to talk to me, who created my wife not wanting to talk to me? Mm-hmm. I did, by complaining and blaming. So in my company, if you blame somebody or you complain about something, it's a $2 fine, right on the spot. And the reason we do that is not to punish people, but to show them there is a cost. Because when you're doing that, if we do E plus R equals O, blaming is a response to an event that doesn't produce a better outcome. What produces a better outcome is saying, oh, how did I create that? What could I do differently? Every weekend I ask my wife the following question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the quality of our relationship? Anything less than a 10, I have to ask her, what would it take to make it a 10? So instead of complaining about things, we are giving each other feedback about what it would take to make it work better. And then we have a choice. Am I willing to do that to have the ultimate wonderful relationship that I want? And so, what we do in life, think about complaining. So there's blaming, complaining, and excuse making. These are the 3 things that don't work. That take you out of 100% responsibility. Complaining, if I go to home tonight and I complain about you to my wife, or I come here and I complain about my wife to you, neither of you can do anything about the other. So we go to work and we complain about our spouse, we come home and we complain about the people at work, neither of which can change anything. So what we have to do is start asking for what we want, setting boundaries, saying no, learning new skills, whatever it might be, rather than blaming. Because basically that's a lazy way out. It basically says, I don't have to do anything different. As soon as you blame somebody, you're now the victim. Because they have the power, you don't. So we have to be the ones that take back our power by giving up blaming and giving up complaining. And it really is just a mental choice. You have to choose to think differently, which ultimately means for most people, how do you reinforce that? Well, by reading books, watching TED Talks, watching YouTube videos, coming to seminars, listening to interviews like this. Those are the things that ultimately create a context and an environment which allows you to support the new choice.
Perfect. So Jack, once you take responsibility for your actions, for your results, for the way you respond to events, how do you get out of your comfort zone? Because what I see or what I believe, and I'm not sure if you agree with me, is that the responsibility, like you said, lies in ourselves, but the reason why we don't achieve higher levels of success is because we don't want to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
We get stagnant and we don't do anything about it. So how do we get out of our comfort zone once we take that responsibility?
Well, by choosing to take a step out of our comfort zone.
Okay.
But you were in my workshop in Dallas, and you remember I did this experience, and if you're watching this, you can do this. Just fold your hands like this and notice which thumb's on top. And then take your hands and put them the other way so the other thumb's naturally on top. And then I'll ask people, how does that feel? And everyone goes, that's awful, that's uncomfortable, that's weird, that's yucky, I don't like it. What do you want to do? I want to go back to the other way. How's that feel? Comfortable. Well, that's why most people are not getting what they want. They'd rather be comfortable than experience discomfort. Here's the thing. Everything new that you do that you haven't been doing all along is going to feel uncomfortable. First time you give a speech, first time you drive a car, first time you ask someone for a date, first time you go to make a sale, whatever it is, it's awkward. You're not good at it. I remember driving a stick shift car the first time. You forget to put the clutch in or let it out and doing this kind of stuff. Eventually you can drive with one hand. You're breaking up a fight in the back seat with the kids. You get good at it because you went through the discomfort. Most of us are stuck in life because there's something that happened to us that made us feel uncomfortable, rejected, inadequate, alone, angry, sad. And then we never wanted to feel that feeling again. And so then we create our life to avoid the feeling of rejection, or to avoid the feeling of awkwardness, to avoid the feeling of I don't know what I'm doing, or whatever it is. And so literally, you have to do the thing you're afraid of. I always say, feel the fear and do it anyway. If you go to a Tony Robbins fire walk, nobody ever thought they were going to walk on fire. It's outside your comfort zone. But then you do it, and you get to the end, as I did, and I said there, wow, what else did I tell myself I couldn't do that I can do? I mean, I was on a high for 3 weeks after that, So, I mean, literally, it could bring me down. And I still have that memory of that thought that I can do anything I want to do if I just choose to do it. I may have to learn something new, partner up with someone else. It might take a while, whatever. But there's nothing that anybody can do that I can't do, whether it's play the piano, fly an airplane, jump out of an airplane, learn to scuba dive. All those things would make most people uncomfortable, but the fact is they are learnable. So the last thing I would say is this, that we have a lot of limiting beliefs. I'm not enough, I can't do it, I don't have the skills, the knowledge, the contacts, the money, the time, whatever. And again, those are just thoughts. And so we can choose a different thought, the opposite thought. I do have enough time, I am good enough, whatever. Muhammad Ali said, I'm the greatest, long before he ever was. And so he worked his way into that. When we say affirmations and we, use positive self-talk, at first it's awkward. And I read this the other day, I thought it was brilliant. When you've been doing something that doesn't work for a long time, when you start to do the thing that does work, it's going to feel wrong. It's going to feel awkward. First time you talk about something uncomfortable with your spouse or your children or your boss, it's not what you're normally doing. And so you have to be willing to do it. But self-confidence comes, Jeannine, from having survived a risk. I imagine the first time you did an interview with someone, you might have been a little nervous. but you survived it. Now you've done probably hundreds of them, so now it's comfortable. You know you can do it because you've survived it. And so we have to be willing to take that first risk and know that we're going to survive. And I always tell people, you have survived everything that ever happened to you. There's nothing that happened to you never survived because you're still here. Right. And so our survival ratio is much higher than most people would ever give themselves credit for.